Welcome everybody to York Street Diggers. I'd like to acknowledge country, traditional custodians of the land, the Wanneroo people, and our Aboriginal people, Torres Strait Islanders, past, present and emerging, full stop, and our elders and our emerging elders here in Singleton. Thank you to the club for waiving the fee for this room. Thank you to everyone for taking the time to come along and show your support. I have been told that I'm delusional. I know that. But they, they're trying to keep this place open is a waste of time. My response to that is advocating for our elderly people, those who are in the home now, those that are looking for placement, who want to stay in their home, is certainly no waste of my time or anyone in this room or anyone in this town or anyone in New South Wales or anyone in this country. So, and I will just say, to give you a bit of confidence, this town's had bigger battles and won them. We're certainly going to win this one. The reason why we decided to have this meeting and have it so urgently is that it is an urgent situation. It's also a time for the community to come together to talk about it. When we found out about it on Tuesday, I should declare a conflict of interest. Both my parents passed away in Mercy. My dear friend John Martin, former Mayor of Singleton, I visit him on regular occasions, and yes, well done John. John's telling me that he's not going anywhere, and then made the mistake of saying in that they were going to carry him out in a box, and I said, well, I hate to tell you they might. But anyway, didn't say that, John, did we? But we're just here as a community. The suggestion has been made that we form questions, and you have got paper on your table. There's a question box at the end, and whoever helps to drive this will collate those questions and we'll put them to the board. So my conflicts of interest are, I'm a journalist, and you should never do this, but I'm getting old. And the other thing is, I'm also on the board of Our Care Services, which is another conflict because they're a service provider, not in a residential aged care, but in other service providers. So that makes it a bit conflicting too. So if any of you have any concerns about that, tell me. And maybe we can have a discussion about it. Maybe I can see your point of view and think, no, I can't have anything to do with this anymore. But we need the community to drive it. So basically we're told that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, and I should welcome Dan McCauley, thank you for coming. Very graciously, we have the presence of Tony Bitts, Cup. He's the General Manager of Mercy Services. He sought permission from the board to be here. He may or may not be in a position to answer questions, but I do appreciate that Tony has come along. We also have with us Jennifer Morsa. She's the Acting State Manager for New South Wales ACT Aged Care. Thank you, Jennifer. And with her is Robin O'Grady, who's the Acting Director for Aged Care Operations in New South Wales ACT. So really appreciate you both coming along. And I really want this to be an open, respectful conversation. People are angry, they're upset, but we need to direct that anger into a channel for a good result for all of us. So swear all you want to your partners, to your kids, not to the elderly, but please have those conversations. One of the reasons we're here today is so that families can connect, because we're told We disappeared, we thought about it, we didn't sleep, we came back, we spoke to our family and friends in the Mercy. We could see the shock on the staff's face. It's been just terrible, terrible situation for everyone there. So today is also a chance for you to hang around and have those conversations with people and try and de-stress. And the other thing I want to say to you, if this is the only thing that is going on in your mind, you need a bit of help. So don't be frightened to talk to someone from Beyond Blue or Lifeline. You certainly just need to get, sometimes you've got to say things 25,000 times out loud before you actually come to work out what you're going through. So please don't hesitate to get that support. So questions to the board. I've got a microphone there. The questions are being recorded. We may or may not be in a position to answer them, but first of all, I'd like Dan to come to the microphone and say a few words. Thank you, Dan.
Still not high enough, but that's okay. Thank you, Di, and thank you everyone for being here. It obviously shows just how important this service is to areas like Singleton here. So thank you all for being here. As Di said, if this is the only thing you're thinking about, definitely reach out and get some help and speak to somebody. There's plenty of services you can call, or you can jump online, so please make sure you're doing that. I found out about this, as most people in this room did, on Tuesday as well, and I was really devastated about this. I've been out to Mercy quite a few times and had a look around and met the residents and spoken to Tony there many times and his team as well, and they do a great job there. So this is devastating news. I just want to make clear that this is a decision by the Board of Mercy. This isn't a decision by government. We're here to help, we're here to listen, and that's why we've came today, and we've got two people from the department here with us as well. So thank you, Robin and Jennifer, for coming out today and taking time out of your busy weekends as well and away from your families to be here to listen to what people are going through, and I really appreciate that. I have been in contact with Annika Wells, the Minister of Aged Care, as soon as I found out about this, to make sure that Mercy have done the right thing and have got in touch with the department and have gone through those steps. So they're checking all that out right now. But we'll continue to keep people updated along the way. But we're here to listen, to be perfectly honest, here to listen today and to hear what might possibly be able to happen or what might not be able to happen. So I'll leave it at that for now, and we'll let you guys get into talking about it. And yeah, we'll be here to answer as many questions as we can. And please don't ever hesitate. If you want to be in touch, please don't ever hesitate to get in touch with our office. And we will always try and steer you guys in the right direction. So thank you.
I just also wanted to just mention, because this is a licensed premises, there can be no filming in here. So we have got permission for the Singleton Argus to film and 100 Times to film, but it's not live streamed. So please ask everyone to refrain from swearing. Let's just have a really good conversation and find out what's going on. So we have questions, and I've got a microphone down there. If Val, would you like to start off proceedings? Sorry, Mom. Testing.
Okay, first thing I need to say is it's a sad day and we need to find a resolution and a positive one at that. It came to my attention Tuesday evening when I received a phone call from a very concerned person, and so I started digging, investigating everything I possibly could. And one thing I have come up with, and I'll make this short, is that the Mercy Rest went through what we call an accreditation in nursing. But this is called a performance report, which I believe is much the same. So I printed it off once I found it, and then I went through it all. And section 8, in brackets 3, in brackets C, under financial governance, the home was actually compliant in every way under the HCP and the CHSP, which is there. So my question then is to whoever, why is it said that the home cannot continue to be functional when they are financially compliant? Thank you.
Is that anything that we can answer? No. The document that Val's talking about is publicly available, and I know one of the questions that's already been put forward that we want to have, we want to see the balance sheet, you know, and apparently that may not be released until the end of January, but I'm not sure, but that is certainly something that we need to have a look at so we can see where, you know, I'm no accountant, but surely someone is. So we'll, you know, we want to have a look at that because, you know, we all know. I'll stop blabbing. Who wants a question? Please just come up to the microphone. Lynn, and then we've got Phil. Oh, sorry, this is Jeremy. Can you just, when you go to speak, can you just state your name? Because I wouldn't have a clue who you are.
My name is Terry Dunn, and the only question I have, has the Mercy Home been declined any application to extend the existing home?
Is that a question anyone can answer?
I think the chair talked about they didn't want to expand, you know, if you talked about it.
Sorry, at the meeting on Tuesday, and I can tell you I was in a bit of shock and perhaps didn't take it all in. But I know through research that they've had issues with the convent. He said, I asked the question, was this decision about the aged care facility have any connection to what may be happening with the convent? And he said no. And then I did a bit of research, and there has been a subdivision approved by Singleton Council, I think 2020 or 2021. 2020 has been approved. Action started on that subdivision, and then it suddenly came to a halt. So.
Yeah, well, my question is mainly the argument that I've heard is that if they had more beds, it would be more financially viable. But if the progress that they applied for hasn't been proceeded with, how can that be used as a debate to close the home at the moment in time?
Speaking with some, you know, and I'm just saying what I know, it's not speaking with some people from Department of Aged Care, my concern was if the Mercy closes, what chance has Corinda got? Because it's only got 36 beds. But 34, sorry. But that is a much part of a much bigger organisation. The way I understand Mercy Services working in the Hunter, they offer 18 services and residential care is only one of them. So that funding component only goes with that one facility. But certainly, Terry, something that we need to take up with them because there's a lot more questions than we have answers to at the moment. So thank you, Terry. We certainly will follow that through. Thank you.
Lynn McVeigh. This week I was told that this is a Catholic thing to do. This has got nothing to do with a religion. This affects all of us. Every single one of us at some time may have a relative or a friend who needs care. And why should they leave Singleton if this has been their home all their lives? I've got two questions. It's been stated by Mr. Rees that everything possible has been tried over the last 2 years. I want to know what avenues have been investigated, because he certainly didn't ask this community. The other question is, it's been stated again by Mr. Rees that the decision to close the Mercy Rest cannot be reversed. Why not? It shouldn't a bad decision be reversed? How can you, a board, turn around and say that they cannot reverse a decision that's been made without any consultation?
Phil's getting up for a question.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Philip Walton. I'm a member of the Lions Club, member of the Rural Fire Service, member of Masons, and also a member of the RSL sub-branch, which means I've got a lot invested in this community. So there's a lot of other people out there. My question is, if this decision has been made arbitrarily, why wasn't the community informed that it was going to happen, and what is going to happen to the residents of the home?
I can talk to the what's happening with the residents if you like.
I'm going to do this. It's going to take too long. Thank you, Tony, for coming and answering what you can.
I can talk to what's happening with the residents. I think that's really important. And please be conscious, there are 2 residents of our facility here today, so just be conscious of that. I think that's really important. The residents have the opportunity to choose where they go, care that's of the same quality, and they can do that using the consultants that we have appointed, My Care Path, but they don't have to do that. That's their choice in conjunction with their family and how they'd like to do that. There's a couple of options for them. Senior Rights, which is part of the Older People's Advocacy Network. They are on site at Mercy on the day of the announcement, and they're also going to be there all day tomorrow and on the 13th of November, but they'll be there at any time. It's an independent advice service that specifically addresses the advocacy of the resident. So if any resident, their family, are concerned about that, they can absolutely reach out to that service. Our staff will absolutely help, but sometimes in situations like this, people want an independent voice speaking for them, and Senior Rights certainly does that. And I would encourage, and I know the department would absolutely encourage any resident, family member connected to be able to do that. And you didn't ask this question, but I might jump ahead of it just in case. There's no hard close date. It is every resident's going to find a new home, and we'll work with them on that. There is no hard, we're aiming for the first quarter of 2025, but no date has been set. So it's the residents have to be kept safe and well cared for and transferred to another facility of their choosing in their time.
Will that facility be here in Singleton or up to 100 kilometres away?
It's up to... It's up to each individual resident of what their preference would be.
Thank you very much for your time.
When you go to speak, can you just say your name first? Thank you.
I'm Karen Fellows.
Being a member of the Fellows family, we've got a hugely invested interest in this town, community, everybody here probably. Currently, Leslie is palliative. How does she get to make a choice? We've been trying to speak to someone since Tuesday as to what options we have. We can't get any response. We've been told we can't give you any information. Now, it took us over 2 years to get somewhere for Leslie, move her out of hospital, get her into home. How can we possibly find somewhere now that she's palliative? Okay? We've lost one parent at Mercy. We're going to lose another very shortly, and I hope it's at Mercy, where she's happy, where she knows everybody, even if she can't remember who they are. She still knows us all. We move her out of that environment, she will die because she won't know anyone. And you're going to do this to people? Where's their dignity? Where are their rights?
I do want to say that no one that has made that decision is the board of directors, and there's no representatives from that board. These people are here to help, not to harm. So it's...
Hello, my name's Gary Holland. I'm a resident of Singleton. Just before I ask the question, everybody got a bit upset when the gentleman said the residents could choose where they wanted to go. No choice, never going to happen. Never going to happen, but that's another problem. I'm a bit slow, ladies. You two are from the government, federal government, and your job is?
We work in the New South Wales ACT branch of the Department of Health and Aged Care.
Right. So what are you going to do for us? Anything? Or, because, you know, we're creating a war, you realise that, and which side are you on? Are you going to help us, or are you going to hinder us?
You don't want to hear me just say that. Luckily, we're not having our usual conversation.
Can I have an answer?
Yeah, you go.
So that's a very unfair question to ask the department. And the department are here to listen today, and they've came on behalf from Annika Wells, the Minister of Aged Care. That's a very unfair question. The department hasn't been the one, or government hasn't been the one that's made this decision from Mercy to close these services. So I think that's not a nice question to ask them, because they're just here doing their job. Their job is to make sure that everything is followed the correct way along the guidelines there. So they're here to give advice to people.
So they're umpires?
No, not at all. They're here to give advice to people on the areas that they can, and give advice on that. So the issue is nobody, as Di said earlier, there's nobody here up here at all that is from the board of Mercy. So the questions that everyone's going to ask, as Di said, they will get put forward to the board at Mercy, and we would expect that they would answer them in a very timely manner along the way. 21 days to answer them. Hopefully they can do it quicker than that. But if they've got 21 days, that's their legal right to do that. So we can't ask the department questions like that, because that's very unfair on the department. The department is here to listen and to give advice to people that are in this situation right now.
Thank you. Val.
Thank you. I have a question, and maybe you won't put your hand up, but does anyone here belong to mining? I didn't think you would. Oh, you. Right. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What happened up at Bulladila was that the Anglican, whoever, closed the nursing home up there. And then what happened? Everybody had to go elsewhere. But a local investor decided that he would put his money up and buy the nursing home. It apparently is going to reopen by December this year. So I put it to all the mining unions and workers, all of you, get together and do something about this one, please. If it's going to close, we want it to stay in local hands. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to put your hand up and I'll bring the microphone down. Sorry, I've just got Fred hanging in for a bit and then I'll come over, Holly.
Good morning. Good morning. My name's Fred Turner, and I know most of the people in this room, and I have a long association with Mercy. So I just had a couple of questions that we've worked out through the information given to residents. We fully understand this may cause stress to you and your family. We sincerely apologise. Your well-being is our highest priority. Was there a maintenance and business plan moving into the future? Or was this just an unfortunate knee-jerk reaction by this compassionate board? I hope that's a word, is it, in journalism? Also, I noticed that they say suitable and affordable accommodation will be offered to residents. They've already made that lifestyle choice. Their suitable and affordable accommodation is in the Mercy in Singleton. And just to add to that, they're around their families. If the suitable and affordable accommodation is in Sydney or a major centre, you become a statistic. And given the age of our residents, their children, like us, are in their 70s, unable to travel any distance to see their family. So this could be devastating if people had to move away. So let's get behind this, let's drive it hard. There's plenty of people in here I know that can talk a bit. Let's get it all happening. Thank you.
I will remind everyone we do have a question box at the back, so not a lot of people feel comfortable talking in front of the microphone. If you have questions, just jot them down, stick them in the box, and we'll do what we can to have them answered. Holly, thank you.
I just have to open with these are my own personal comments. I'm not here as a representative or a spokesperson for Singleton Council. I believe the mayor's in the room today. So, how's that? Is that better? Yes, Gary, it probably was a bit unfair to ask the department to choose sides, but I'm going to ask our voted, elected representative. You've had a discussion with the minister. Your party spent $460 million supporting a yes vote. What funding would be available for our residents and ratepayers so that you can come to the party with the Mercy to try and offer some funding to keep this as a viable option?
I will just intervene for a second, just 2 seconds. This is a board decision. A board, and we've got to keep remembering that it's the board that we need to be accountable.
Thank you for the question, and I'll happily let everyone know what we have done as a government for aged care, because we've changed aged care since we came in. So we recognise the importance of older Australians being able to access aged care in their communities. We are investing $200 million into infrastructure grants to support residential aged care services in rural and regional areas of Australia, just like Singleton here. We've increased funding for residential aged care services by 58% since coming into government. That's 58% more than what there was 2.5 years ago, and that was put on hold for the last 10 years before that. The government's also delivered a $15.1 billion in pay rise for aged care workers, which aged care workers deserve because they're looking after some of the most vulnerable people in our communities. And on the 12th of September, we introduced a bill for the new Aged Care Act to deliver once in a generation reform and a sustainable sector that delivers the care that older people deserve. Our reform includes measures to make sure residential aged care services can attract investment they need to keep these homes open, improve the quality of their homes, and also build new facilities. These reforms include additional $300 million for residential aged care providers in rural and regional areas like Singleton to be able to continue to go. And I'll be honest here, as I said from the start, this is a board decision. Government has no say in this. Purely a board decision was made here. We don't know whether they have reached out to us yet. We are going back and seeing that. If they've reached out for help, if they've applied for grants, we're unsure of that. So we're going back and seeing that. But the board has made a decision to close this facility. And that's what we've all got to remember here. This is not a government decision. Thank you.
Dan, I was going to ask you about that. So we don't know whether or not they have applied or approached the government or even raised their hand that they're in such dire financial straits.
So I've spoken to Tony a couple of times throughout this period since becoming the federal member for Hunter, and they have always said that it's been tough, and it's been tough in aged care, and other facilities have told me the same as well. So, and I've gone back and spoken to Annika Wells about that and her team. But whether we've had them directly apply for support out of that $200 million that's available for grants, I don't know, and they're going back and checking through the department on that one.
Okay, good. Thank you. I was a bit remiss. I didn't welcome Mayor Sue Moore. Thank you for coming, Sue, and thank you to all the other councillors that are here as well.
Thanks, Di. Not here as Mayor, same as Holly. Sue Moore, one of the two Sue Moores here this morning. I'm Sue Moore Jr. I asked some questions of the chair the other day when he rang me. I sat calmly and listened to what he had to say on the phone, and then I asked him some questions. I'm very aware, as others have said, that there was a subdivision commenced in 2020. I asked that at council recently. It is still an active subdivision, even though it hasn't been completed. I think one of the questions that would be relevant to ask the convent, if they would continue with that subdivision, because part of the problem is they still own that facility, so no one can borrow to expand that facility. There would also be challenges in trying to expand that facility because you're on a floodplain. So there's already issues with an aged care facility on the floodplain and evacuation risk. So it'd have to be built higher, which comes with challenges with an aged care facility having to go higher. So they are one thing that I asked him. I also asked him if other avenues had been approached, and the words he used, we approached a like-minded facility and asked them if they were interested, and they said no way and walked away. I asked him if they would approach Uniting to see if they would pick up and continue the lease in a short time frame at least, till you know, it continued to be managed. I didn't get any response to that. I also asked him whether people would get their bond back that they've paid, because I was aware of one person recently that took several months to get their bond back. He assured me people would be getting their bond back. So they're just things that I can think of the top of my head. As everyone, more interested in understanding the finances, because I understand, even though, as Val said, the nursing home component was maybe not making money, but it was breaking even, I think the other services were pulling it down. So I think we need to have the opportunity to explore those financials more. Thanks, Doc.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue. I've just got John. Oh, sorry.
My name's Alison. I'm John Martin's niece. So I have a very much loved one affected by this. John has asked me to take him home. He's finding the noise hard to cope with, but I just wanted to ask some questions first. So, Lynn McBain's question about what has been done over the last 2 years, it's very important that we know that, to know what steps the board has taken. Other comments attributed are that it's a highly regulated system, so what exactly are the regulations that have brought this to a head? What kind of considerations have the board taken in terms of, sorry, I'm nervous and upset, so forgive me. What considerations have the board taken in terms of future effect for the Singleton community? I appreciate that they might put their hands up and say, not up to us, it's a commercial thing. But we would have people living in Singleton who would have planned to go to Mercy when they needed a home. How many people in Singleton in the future will this affect? How many people are lying in a bed in Singleton Hospital waiting to transfer to Mercy? As we've heard, it can take a long time. I hate public speaking. I know this isn't board related, but our hospitals are full of people waiting for a bed in a nursing home. They are full. And those are beds that can't be used for other issues. And I just hope that all of us together can turn around what has been stated to be a decision that cannot be reversed, and the fight has just begun.
Hello everybody. A lot of people might know me. I'm Jenny Singleton. I used to be one of the managers at the hospital here for a long time. My concern with all of this is the relocation of these elderly folk. When we had the floods in 2007, we did relocate every resident then to the Singleton Hospital. Some of those residents with that relocation passed away because they just did not handle it. So my concern is that should we relocate these people, that it will then become an impost on the public health service wherever it is, whether it be Maitland, Muswellbrook, or again in Singleton. These people are now going to be going to somewhere where they're not comfortable. The hospitals are, and you'd have to agree, Dan, they are very, very busy and they're very, very full. So I think that I totally agree with the community here that we need to get behind this and make sure that we do not see this facility closed.
Yeah, thanks Dan. So Tim Partridge is my name. My connection with the Mercy is my grandmother was Lorna Partridge, who was the first head of nursing at Mercy. My grandparents, my wife's grandparents have all gone through the Mercy. We have a long history with the Mercy. Understanding also from a business point of view, I understand this is from a board point of view. Somebody's brought up insurance, I work in insurance. The flood, Sue's quite right about the flood mapping being down there. That is a very, very significant thing for an insurer to be able to insure, and I would be very surprised if anybody would want to take that risk on with elderly, with what is now, you know, what was 1 in 100-year events now coming to 1 in 20, 1 in 50 events. It's almost something that you wouldn't be able to find insurance, which means then not being able to operate financially. Sue, you made the point about the development going on down there. You'd like to see the Catholics be able to work through to be able to get the development. Well, I see that flood mapping being also something that would inhibit that development going forward. And I would ask you, from a council point of view, would you work with providers, aged care providers, developers, to be able to set aside land for them to be able to be maybe gifted or long leases, for them to be able to come in and provide new facilities up to the standards that we need to get the economies of scale for the people. And I think about the Dale McNamara's and people who want to do things here in the community. I think if you bring those people in, I think that you may find solutions, you know, in and around that over 55s, but extending into the, you know, the long age care. Thank you.
Just quickly, it's my understanding that we do have flood insurance, and that there was they have put plans together to include a multi-level building like Quest. But that's just something to think about. And there's been someone mentioned Dale McNamara. He happened to ring me the other day. I'll tell you a bit more. But I'm sorry, Karen's just here waiting.
Hello? Oh, hello. I'm Karen Blyton. My mum Ren's been a resident at Mercy Rest for at least 5 years now. I can't commend the care that she's received there in those years. Tony's been a great support through Mum's time there, and Lisa and the staff have been absolutely beautiful to Mum. So when I heard this news by an email on Tuesday night, I was quite shocked. I did think possibly bringing Mum down to Sydney might be an alternative so that we could keep a closer eye on her, but that would be under certain conditions that she would receive the same care that she receives here. This will be a very difficult thing. I spoke to the representatives from our care and I was quite disappointed in their response. They were quite happy to put Mum in a shared room.
Sorry, Karen, I'll just correct that. It wasn't our care. We have an our care service in town. My care part.
Mike, sorry. Yeah. I was quite disappointed in their response and their attitude for ongoing care for Mum. And I have looked at 2 facilities in Sydney that she could possibly go to. The waiting list is huge. I just don't know where they think they're going to put these beautiful people. The board in Melbourne that is responsible for this, it is absolute elderly abuse. There is no doubt about it, and it can't continue. My only alternate thought is that they let the residents stay in the Mercy Rest and live out their lives in peace in their homes that they are in, and that the facility has, if it has to close, that they at least can stay there until then.
Hello everybody, I'm Joy Poole, and there are a couple of things that I'd like to mention here. First of all, the thing that really concerns me, and I don't know where Dan's gone, but Dan, I'd like to mention this to you and government. How can something that is providing a service like that tell people that in a couple of months they've got to go? Now that is beyond belief. In these organisations we need some sort of legislation that for the closing down, we're talking 2, 3 years, 5-year plan, so that people have time to organise. They have time to say, well, I'm not going there because it's closing down. Now, the other thing, I got in a conversation with Wendy Mason-Jones, and the conversation was about bed allocations to districts. And I understand that so many beds are allocated to a district, but if this home closes down, where does our bed allocation go? Does it just wait there till somebody builds another home, or does it go elsewhere, which I believe it does? And the person speaking to me said they're very, very hard to get back. So speaking to you, Dan, you're somebody that could look into that, and I'm sure you will. First of all, if we can get some legislation in place, it's not going to help these people, unfortunately, but in future we shouldn't see people being told in 2 months that they have to leave. So thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name's Pete Moneyman. I just want to make some comments on unfair, and please don't think you guys coming here today, you're spending your time to share it with us and help our cause. This is not directed at you. What's unfair? My father-in-law, Barry Hall, he worked till he's 75, paid taxes all his life. What's unfair? His wife, Joy, passed away a few years back with leukemia. What's unfair? He's got certain conditions that prohibit him from living in his own home, and he needs care. What's unfair is he had to spend months and months in a hospital bed, getting passed from room to room, and the hospital people were great, don't get me wrong, till we could find a place for Barry to live. What's unfair is he finally got in a place where he feels safe, he loves the staff, he loves everyone there. I never thought in my wildest dreams would I hear Barry say, I feel safe here, this is better than living on my own home now. What is damn unfair is he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to secure his room, lots and lots of money each week out of his pension, and now, because of business profits, we're going to tell him he has to get out of his own home. It's not just him, it's all the other lovely people in there, and also all the people that work there. You know, we talk about all sorts of things. These people created our country, they paved the way for where we are now. We're just going to throw them aside for money. Bollocks. And we talk about all sorts of lives matter. Old lives matter too. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sue Ferguson. Now, I'm a blower and I've only been in Singleton for 24 years, but I've been in all different committees and groups, etc. Now, the funny thing was, I was going to come up here and say, I know a gentleman and we have the pleasure of a Thursday night at the Horse and Jockey, and he's there, goes for the raffles with the men's shed, etc. And he hasn't been at Mercy very long. That's what I was going to come up and say. Now, if Barry moves away from Mercy, he doesn't just move away from his family, and as I say, I only know him socially. He loses his mates. He's a very valued member of Singleton Men's Shed. He loses that. He loses so much if he has to move away. Right, that's my thing about that. My next thing, I'm going to open a can of worms. I have been the regional rep for United Hospital Auxiliary, and we heard a lot of things in the air. And when you talk to people about it, this is a serious can of worms. We have land behind the hospital. That land has been tied up in different trusts. There is no straight answer from anyone as to what's actually going on. And my understanding is that there's a lot of money in bank accounts around that land. Why can't we do something with this?
Hi everyone, my name is Peter. I have only been here 4 years. I have lived and breathed the Bulladero closure. My grandmother, pardon me, I'm taking screenshots. She worked at Bulladero Hospital and went the day that it opened in 1991. We watched the entirety of the community, pardon my words, go to shit. And I'm not just talking about the staff, the people in there, the staff, job losses, people that were struggling to pay bills. I appreciate you guys coming, and I know you can't answer this. First question is, where the hell are the board today and why are they not here? Second of all, can we arrange a meeting with the board if anyone's game enough to come and meet with us? I'm happy to go up to Bulladero to meet with my friends and family and get them on board to help this, because Christ knows they tried and tried. I just wanted to take another screenshot of what I just read. I mean, we're all in agreement. We all want to do something. This is not going to help sitting here. We need to meet with these people that are higher up making these decisions that apparently are irreversible. What a load of garbage. And I'm not angry at you guys, I appreciate it, and I know that everyone else is angry. This has nothing to do with me. I don't have anyone invested in this. I care about the community, and I've watched my poor family suffer immensely in Bulladilla, and by Christ, I won't let that happen again. I just wanted to read something that I've taken a screenshot of. I'm sorry I didn't, it's one of the newspapers. So it says, the local closure of Bulladilla Cedar Wharf has impacted residents with irreversible damage. People have been travelling over 75 kilometres and further to visit people that have been placed in other facilities. I know this woman personally. Anne-Marie Barry, a local Bulladilla resident, said her husband, and I can't even tell you whether he's here still, I believe not. Once I say goodbye to him, it's pretty much goodbye forever. Now this part here particularly means something. Being in a rural area, buses, taxis and Ubers are very much in demand. They're few and far between. How do these people go and visit their loved ones? The thing that has struck me in all of this, and I've been listening, and again, I know you can't answer this, this is beyond you. Who is saying that these people can go where they want? That is absolute rubbish. Where are they? The waiting list is so long as it is. I know that patients were taken to Mount Hutton, they were taken to Taree, Foster, Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour. Who is letting these people in? Because I'm damned if I know anyone that's got placements to just go, sure, off you go. Anyway, food for thought. Let's take this further. We need to get it running. We need to meet with the board. We need our mayor on board. We need our council on board, and we need to push this to hell and back.
A bit of reassurance, we certainly do have the mayor and the councillors on board. They understand. So, and we will also put in a request, and I understand, I heard this secondhand, I understood that they would get a spokesperson for the community that could have that one-on-one conversation with the Charles Rees, the chairman of the board. So hopefully we can sort of sort that out. Plan after today is get all those questions, get them to the board. They've got 21 days to respond. And one of the proposals that's been put forward, and I don't know whether it's all possible, but that so Mercy Services are out. They're no longer providing residential aged care. That was a decision by the board. Is it potentially possible for us to get a lease for a period of time? When I say us, not me, but us, as in a community group, get a lease for a period of time to rent that facility and immediately begin plans to build a new facility, so that it is at least for say 3 to 5 years, and then in the process do everything that we can to build another facility through whatever funding. But that's something that I think, what's anyone think of that? Yeah. Yes, the land's there now, that's right.
So I would suggest perhaps whoever is on the committee that they meet with Hunter Health and get an answer from them what they plan to do with that 2.78 hectares. Sitting there doing nothing.
Yes. Oh, hello. Aren't you delivering babies?
Thank you, ma'am. Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Tuano. I've been here for 28 years. Thank you. Now, why is I last here so long for 28 years?
You like it?
I love it because of community spirit. When you look at our church, our nursing home, how it's built, community donation. And suddenly, 1 year, they said, well, we should cooperate, make it bigger, so we have central control of everything, make it cheaper. But then, the big corporation, they lose their compassion, how to care for people, how they lose sense of community. And now they're thinking, well, we better sell it. And get what? Where our donation, our money? Years ago, I think about 10 years ago, they have a private donation, $1 million for each nursing home to rebuild it. And where the money comes from? Community. And I'm surely every year we have private donation to help the community nursing home for previous generation like work hard, our generation work hard, for the next generation, for our grandparents. Okay. Now, in the government, they have no policy about if the corporation here selling the place, where they put the money to. Will they go back to Newcastle or to Sydney to rack up their nursing home? Why are our country people suffering again? We work hard for our life, as Peter said, and Barry there. We donate our time, our money for our community, but at the end, it's gone to somewhere else. That's unfair. So, the question I would like to ask is, we will look at all the private donations in previously. Their private donation is for Singleton community. If they sell the place, the money had to go back to Singleton. And the New South Wales government had to change their policy and telling with the government later on donation or support the nursing home. If the private donation had to come back to Singleton or to their community without going back to big city to rack up their business in city. Because country people, we are important too. That's what I always said to say. Thank you.
Just continuing to remind you that there's pieces of paper, don't forget to put the questions down. Now, even if it's one question that's repeated 25,000 times, it doesn't matter. It needs to be asked.
My name's Isaac Shields. There's a lot of questions here that's just not answered. And, you know, one of the things this comes under the Constitution, which is 51(22)(a). And then there's another point that was brought up here, insurance. Now, the insurance, which is, I think, the federal government has got to look into this, has just gone bloody berserk. And is that one of the things why Mercy's closing down? And there's another one here with the inflation. Now, the inflation can be stopped. We're told that it can't and a whole lot of crap. But the inflation's caused by the bloody banks, for the banks. And if the government got onto the banks, that can be wiped straight away. There's just a lot of questions that's just not answered. I know Dan tries his very best to do things, but he's only one man and he can only do, you know, a one man's job. And I think he does 1.5 anyway. Okay, thank you.
He does do 1.5 because he's 1.5 times the size of everybody else. So, how are we going with questions? Sorry, certainly.
Thank you. I'm going to make this statement from my heart. And the thing is, I'm 85.5 years old. I believe I still have enough up top, but heaven knows what's going to happen physically in the years to come. I believe that a lot of aged people, after hearing this, would probably think, I hope I go before I need a nursing home. Thank you.
Val, if anyone deserves an excellent nursing home, it's you, so don't worry.
Hi, Ian Harris. I don't really have a question for over there, but I want a question to you, Di, and anyone else.
what can we do to help? Not just coming to all these, but what can we do personally to help?
Lots. Now, I just want to say the reason why this meeting was called was because we were all suffering terribly. We needed to come together as soon as possible. I ask you to look around the friends on your table and find people that you can talk to and confide in, and together we're going to come up with a solution. What I'm suggesting today is those questions, they'll be compiled, they'll be sent to the board, they've got 21 days, and I also would have the feeling from the meeting that this expediency, the rush, the panic, needs to stop. Yes. We need time to get our heads around what's happened. We need time to come together as a community and find resolutions. Dale McNamara is back in town on Friday, and he's not our saviour, but he loves this town with a passion. In fact, I wrote down a few things that he said, because I did ask him, was it all right if I repeated some of the things? I need glasses. Yes, I know. He's a very, very proud local person of Singleton. He has contact with a lot of people. He tries to do good things for this town. Sometimes when he does things in this town, people shakes their head. Tommy Tucker's, for example. Why would he buy that? Because that's where he used to get his lollies when he was a kid. He's sorry that he's not here today, but he's gone away on holidays with his family and going to the Melbourne Cup. Let's hope he wins $1 billion gazillion. What else did he say? No, I can't say that. He believes that services like aged care residential homes are essential for Singleton. As soon as we start losing those types of services, we are a town on retreat. We're going away. We are not. He is hoping to have a meeting with the board CEO, hoping to get a better understanding of what the situation is. He's disappointed in the way that information was delivered to the community. Can't say that. He's keen to see how the lease structure can work, and you know, a lot of those nitty bits and pieces that we can find a resolution to this or work around, and we may or may not be able to, but I tell you what, it's worth a try, and if any community can do it, it's this one. No board's going to make a decision without looking at the finances. So we need to ensure that we can put together a strong enough business plan to make whoever Dale answers to consider this as a viable thing for the community. What do you reckon? So I guess, sorry, I've just got Terry to speak. I guess as after this, we've got everyone's email. If you haven't signed that email, that'll be completely private, but it's just a way of us giving information. You know how someone will leave this meeting and tell the person next door, who'll tell the person down the street, and it'll be all over. So what we need to do is make sure that information that's going out is factual. And if you hear anything on the street that concerns you, don't hesitate to ring. We do need to form some sort of a committee. So if there's anyone here interested in being a part of that, please, we'll take the names down the back. We have got someone talking about Facebook. I hate it. So we will, but what we might do is not have comments on it. Maybe just say, this is where we're at, this is what the meeting's happening, and just have it sort of factual, I think might be a good idea. Sorry, Terry?
First, I'd like to support Dr. Al's comments, but I'd like to strengthen those and direct my concerns to our federal member. We need to correct the injustices that have been caused by boards. We've heard this morning a board made the decision. They're not here, so they're not approachable. They're going to make a decision to sell the board, but they've taken, as Dr. Al said, many contributions from our community. They also put their hand up to our federal government for grants. I think their business model, if it's sold, should return all the donations and the federal government grants. I direct to our friend here that the problems in the aged care system are large and varied, and the federal government's done major steps towards it. We need to take another step and correct this anomaly that people outside can come in and start a business up, reap the benefits of the government in saying they're supporting the community, then all of a sudden decide we're closing it overnight. So we should address the issue. The federal money or our taxpayer money that's granted to a community stays within the community and no board profits from it.
Can you hear me? It's Fred Turner again. Sorry to annoy you, but I don't have a question at the moment, but I do want to remind you to think about the staff at the Mercy. My recent visits there show that none of them are sleeping. You've affected them sort of so poorly through the board decision. There's people up there. One of the, I think she was from New Guinea, one of the carers. She said to me, I said, how do you feel about the decision? She said, oh, I'm so worried. She said, this is my family. They make money, they train to take all this back to their families. They become a nurse in their own hospitals. But while they're here, she even said, they're like my big babies. You know, they're my family. When I talk to the management staff from Lisa, Denise, Emily, Vicky down, none of them are sleeping. They're all really concerned about what's happening to their people, their families. I know nurses that go to work there, spend more time with them than their actual families. So please give them your thoughts and prayers. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Janine Gardner. My question is, will Corinda and Alroy prioritise Mercy staff, Mercy residents? People having to wait in the hospitals for months on end and sadly tend to deteriorate whilst they're waiting. Noticing how much it affects them being moved from one room to the next multiple times. How do we expect them to move from Mercy, a place that is meant to be their last home, and who knows where they could end up? And how is that going to affect them? Sorry, I'm very nervous. Like, sadly, a lot of the times when residents go into nursing homes, it's usually not something that they actually want to do. They're being told they can no longer live at home by themselves, they can no longer do that. So they are virtually made to. And it takes a long time for them to come to terms with the fact that this is their new home. I also see how it affects the residents there that don't have family, either nearby or just don't have family at all, and how much they rely on the staff and the other residents to be their family. And I've had many tell me that they are a family, that some have even been at other nursing homes and have said no, you may as well just be a number at a different nursing home, whereas Mercy, you are very much so family. I also want to touch on the staff at Mercy, as they are devastated and so heartbroken as to what could possibly happen with their residents. And not one single person have I seen has even batted an eyelid at the idea that obviously if Mercy closes, they lose their jobs as well. All they care about is the residents. And I applaud them for that. I think that is just amazing, and I'm sure that there is possibly a couple here from Mercy. I would also like to know how and where the 700,000 that was apparently lost 2 years ago, how did that happen? And how did they lose 300,000 last year? Is that poor management? Can it be rectified? Is it a bump in the road because of COVID? What happened? Those are things I'd like to know. Thank you.
This is just a one-off, and it's not about nursing homes. But if the people here remember way back, we were told that we were going to house a FIFO camp, which is a fly-in, fly-out for miners. Remember how the town came together, and we fought that and we won. So this is another one we can win. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm Anne Thomas, and I have been associated with the Mercy Nursing Home before its start. I was actually on the committee with Jared McMillan down here to help raise the funds for this home, and I have visited the home ever since then. And last Friday week I was at the home and I was observing. I was visiting a friend of mine who cannot speak very well, and we were talking, and then I was observing. And I just watched the staff, and I only knew one of the staff, and they didn't know. The one staff knew me, but the others didn't know. And I was there observing, and I thought the morning tea came out, they were toileting, they were bingoing, and they called each resident by name. And I told so many people over the weekend how proud I was of that home and the people that were working there. I don't know how many people I told, but it was a lot. And then to get the news on Tuesday, I was devastated because it's been part of my life for 40-something years. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for your service. I think I'll take one final question from Anne, and we've got Tony making a comment as well. I'll just take this question from Anne first, please.
My name is Anne Fuller. I've lived here for 53 years, but my husband's family is local. We were on holidays last week and I couldn't believe it. Sorry. My husband's family have obviously had people at the Mercy. And for those of you that do know me, you know I've been involved in lots and lots of voluntary things in the 53 years I've been here. But I'm also very good at protesting. I don't know if some of you can remember, I tied myself to the Singleton Heights gate for, I don't know, I think it was over a week because they were trying to take a classroom away. Tony said that there is no set date for the home to close. So if the residents don't move, they can't close it. How simple is that?
I think there might be a few residents that are on the same page here. Just a few comments from Tony now, please.
Yeah, just very quickly, Di. Insurance has been brought up twice. We do have insurance. There's caps and limits on it, but please be rest assured, insurance wasn't the major reason for the decision of the board. I just wanted to clear it up because I could. Apart from that, as Di said, I'll just reiterate the board are committed to answering the questions in writing that come from this group. So that's a commitment that our board have made, and also any spokesperson that this group organise. Our chair, Charles Rees, is happy to meet with them and go through the answers to the questions and any other questions the spokesperson might have. So I just wanted to reiterate that, Di. Thanks.
But they, okay, I'll be completely honest. I told Tony he was nuts to turn up today. I said, you're going to get hammered, mate. And yes, I know that's fair enough. Why the board? The board has agreed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the board has agreed to meet and have a conversation, but it would need to be someone that has some accounting background, that can ask, no, I'm being really honest here. I don't want to do it. I know nothing about money. Look at where I live. You know, like, so we need to have someone here with a sensible approach to have that conversation with the board. So again, I mean, we've been here, I don't know how long, what's the time? There's a national cricket match down at Howe Park today. I've got to take some photos. But anyway, what I think we need to do is, you know, we could have these meetings and just go round and round and round and round. We need to have some conversations moving forward. And the board is willing to meet with representatives from this community, but at a public meeting like this, you'd end up spending 3 hours just throwing oranges across the room. So I think that's, sorry Lynn, you're going to disagree with me. Well, I think that we could be a bit negotiable about that.
Look, absolutely. And Di said accounting background. That's not our requirement. I think Di is saying that so that...
Yeah, I want it because I wouldn't have a clue what I was looking at.
Can I nominate George Service?
Well, he possibly would.
Are the problems so big that they're unable to be overcome, in your view?
I said to one of the other members of the community when I first started, I think we have to realise that Mercy Services is closing down. It's not just closing its residential aged care facility. We're moving on our home care, our community transport, our alcohol and drug service. So the board's made a decision to close the organisation down. So I think that, no, that's not saying anything other than the truth. That's what it is. But it got lost in, we're closing the Mercy here in Singleton. The board's made a decision not just about here, but also for the other services. So that's just context, because I think that's important.
Just one more. Has the board reached out to other providers to be able to see if they'll take it on as a going concern?
Tim, I did ask that question, and he said, yes, they did, and they're not interested. But in saying that, so the challenge is, we find some way of hanging on to the facility, we find another provider to come in and offer that service, and in the meantime, so that can continue, and in the meantime, we find another location to build a facility that will meet the needs of a growing and growing older community. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, well, why could we not get in touch with the Summit Group in Sydney? They were the group that came up with a blank cheque many years ago to at the auction of the hospital land, and were ready to buy, and Hunter Health pulled it from the auction on that day. They were offering $1.6 million for that block of land, and Scott Bailey told me they just pulled it from auction. They could be a group because they were very keen to set up something similar here. Thank you.
Yes, so certainly, you know, so there are things happening, and as a result of this, we need to keep making sure it moves forward. So, Yes.
Thanks, Dan.
Yes, we do.
Gerald McMillan's my name. I've only been in town since '79, so I'm not a local. But anyway, I had the privilege of working on the fundraising committee for the Mercy Rest Home back in 1982. As was mentioned earlier on, and there's some other people on that committee. Was also Lorna Partridge, and Lorna's name's been mentioned. Sister Faith Jones, Sister Rita Hassett, Mary Robertson. And back in 1982, Alan Bull was the chairman of that committee because the nuns wanted to make sure it wasn't just a Catholic facility, but it was open to all and sundry. Unfortunately, Alan got crook during that year, so I was wearing two hats as chairman and also treasurer. We raised $100,000, which wasn't a bad effort. But back at that time, when they were building the facility, the Mercy Sisters only had 30 beds. And back then, you need at least 40 beds to make it a viable proposition. And the Sisters of St. Joseph from Lochinvar then allocated 12 of their beds to the Mercy Rest Home to make it a 42-bed facility. And so it was then built in 82, 83. Civil and Civic built the facility, and then it was a viable proposition. Di was saying earlier on, my question is, Di, you could meet with the board, but how transparent are the board going to be in showing their financials? It's important if you're going to want someone else to take it over you need to see their financial figures. And without that, I mean, you can meet anybody, but yeah, you want to see their audited figures of the last couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. A not-for-profit. So a not-for-profit has to show those figures, don't they? So that we would have access to them.
So all of our annual reports are on the Australian Charities and Not-for-Profit Commission, so you just have to go and search on that website and you can see all the audited accounts for the last 7 years, I think it is, I can't remember, but at least the last 7 years. And Di said earlier, we have an obligation to load the financial year 24 by the 31st of January 2025.
Sorry, I don't want to keep just with the, surely you've looked at surely you've been looking at this for a few years, seeing that I hear that there's been losses over multiple years, and you know, all businesses run lean some years and then make profit other years. From a board's point of view, where you want to make money, and you're sitting down and to Jared's point, you know, economies of scale. Once upon a time, 50 cows, you know, there was 50 cows you could milk and survive, and there was 100 of them in Singleton. Now we have, you know, 3 dairy farms. What is the economy of scale to be able to get this back to being a profitable position for a company?
Charles has said we've been looking at it for a couple of years, so I'm best for him to answer that question, but I'll reiterate again so that the context for this community is that Mercy Services is getting out of all of its businesses, okay? It's closing one stream of the 4 streams. Di's right, we've got 18 services, but we've got 4 sections, if you like, or little divisions. So I just think that's important to keep in note, that Mercy Services, the board's decided to close all of it. It's context, that's all. And you can be rest assured, not just with the questions, but I will take the sentiment of this group's meeting back to the board, not just the questions on its own.
I guess just one point of difference with those 18 services. The other services are things like home care packages, you know, domestic support, personal assistance, where people receive it in their own home. This is the only residential aged care that they have. So this is the point of difference, this is the residents of the Mercy, the staff of the Mercy, being told they don't have a home. But anyway.
Bit of a misnomer, really, Mercy Nursing Home. Mercy's not coming into it. My concern is that from all what we've been told, apparently the financial issues have been there for a number of years. Well then why has the board and Mercy Services still been accepting residents' applications? Why have they still been taking our money and our families' monies when they've known potentially for 2, maybe 3 years that there was an end date? Why have they allowed us hope as families to say,
okay, well, we can get your member in, we can look after your person, but I'm sorry, it's only for the next 2 months or 18 months. You know, yeah, and we're in the same boat. You know, we've tried for ages, we've managed to get 2 places, but it took us 2 years to get 2 places, in and out of hospital. So why was the board giving people hope and now they've taken it away? As I said, I think Mercy Nursing Home is a bit of a misnomer at the moment. There isn't mercy or compassion being shown.
Just a technical.
Yes.
Charles, it might not answer answer your question the way you'd like it to be answered. Charles has said repeatedly they've been reviewing it for 2 years, but the decision wasn't made until very, very recently. So the decision may have been to make a different decision, but it was only made in October of this year. So we want to continue to support the community while we knew we could. The board have been reviewing it for 2 years, and Charles has been saying that repeatedly in all the interviews.
Right. Has anybody in town reached out to other providers?
No, because this information only came forward on Tuesday, and I can say probably 3 days of just shock. It's like there's been no, I won't compare it, but it's been such a shock, and I just don't think, rolling over the ideas and really getting to understand what exactly is the situation, because there's 1,000 scenarios that go on in people's minds about what it might be. The question of subdivision is convent bed style has, what is going on, and we, yes, Mercy Services the board have decided to close Mercy Services, but it's a whole different entity that own that land. So maybe there's some conversations there that we're not aware of. I mean, I don't know. It's only it's not even a week, and we're all still grieving. And I will reiterate again, make those connections with people and friends, and don't try and deal with this on your own, because you'll not cope. And if there's one thing our community does very well, it's care for one another. Yes, sorry. No, that's a conversation that the new committee will have. I did reach out to try and, one of the sisters was there at the meeting on Tuesday when they were telling the residents, Sister Beres Livermore, and I think I was still in shock that I didn't really ask enough questions from that to sort of get a better understanding of it, but I
just saying, I asked some questions of the sister at the time, and I got the impression that they didn't really want to continue either. I didn't really get a feeling that they would be interested in a new provider to come and continue, but I don't know, just ask the question if involving them in the situation.
Yes, definitely trying to have that conversation, because if the sisters own that land, then it's the sisters that we're going to have to try and lease the land off for a period of time, if that's at all possible, is my understanding.
Sue, this is directed to you. Will the Singleton Council have anything directly to do in this process of trying to attract anybody to Singleton to fill this gap?
I'll start that, Sue. Council has to be very careful to be dealing with commercial businesses and showing favouritism. I don't think half these companies in the aged care space know, and I believe that there would certainly be approaches. But anyway, you go, Sue.
As I said at the start, I'm not here as councillor or mayor, I'm here as a community person, so I can't make any comments on behalf of council, and it would be wrong for me to do so, because like-minded, we are a board also of council. So even though we work for the community, we are a board, and we have responsibilities to our ratepayers to manage our money. And a lot of people in our community have told us they don't want rate increases. We had a briefing the other night. Councillors that are still here would know. We were told not to put any extra requests on council if we don't want to see rates going up. So that's a simple answer. We need to be very mindful of what we ask of the staff to do. Doesn't mean we can't have conversations to encourage a provider to come in. I think the door is going to be closed on the Mercy unless we can encourage somebody to actually come in and operate that facility short term while we do look for another site, another opportunity, and other providers that come in. I hadn't realised the bed issue is an issue and maintaining those beds. If we were to look at a bigger facility, doesn't necessarily mean it can operate if we don't have those numbers from what I'm understanding. Dan, is that correct? So we've got a number of hurdles to face. That doesn't mean it's beyond us. Singleton's a pretty strong community. As has been said, we've had bigger issues than this in the past, and I think we can push on and work together and get good outcomes. But to your question for council, I can't commit to anything today. Thank you, Sue.
And Dan, in the same context, what's the learnings from a federal point of view? I understand, am I right, that this is a state issue, is it? Or is it a federal issue for health? And what learnings are you getting from the buller dealers and so forth, where you can see that we could, turn that ship around as such?
So good question. This is a federal issue, definitely a federal issue. So we will be working on this, and it's been 3 working days since this has been announced. And look at how you guys have all rallied together in three working days to get here. I think you all deserve a massive round of applause for just how committed and dedicated you are to this, because it really does matter. And with that, I will be talking to the aged care minister, and I already have been. As soon as I found out about this, I reached straight out to Annika Wells and her team, and they've been really, really good at getting us the information we need in this short period of 3 days. But we'll be continue to work with them over this period of time, and we'll also make sure that we're continuing to work with her and her office to make sure we can see what we can do for the community as well here throughout that period. So I obviously can't make any promises. I need to make sure I'm talking with her and her team, and then relaying the information back on that as well. I just think while I'm up here as well, we should give Singleton Diggers a big round of applause, because they've given this room for free. And thank you very much for that. And we all know, everyone in this room knows that this wouldn't have happened unless Di was organising it. So, Di is a major part of this community. Not only is she one of the best journalists in this area, but she also is very committed to making sure this area goes forward, and she genuinely cares. Like, I haven't met someone that cares the way Di does. So once again, give her another round of applause.
Thank you. But we all care. We all care. We all have hearts. Read Michelle. Yeah. I also want to thank Dan very much for coming along today. They're difficult conversations. I want to thank Tony, and I want to thank Jennifer and Robin for coming along. And thank you to everyone for being so respectful in the manner in which, you know, it is emotional, and sometimes emotions get a bit high. So just round of applause for everyone for attending. Thank you. A reminder that we've got the question box up there. Please don't hesitate to write down questions. They'll be sent off to the board by Thursday. That's as quick as we can really do it by the time we go through it properly and not keep repeating everything. And I'd also wonder if we can get a group of people who might be interested in moving this forward, maybe to come up into this corner, so that we can decide on a spokesperson for the group and a couple of people that are willing to have those conversations with the board. And so on behalf of the Mercy residents, their families and their staff, I want to thank you all for coming along. They'll be absolutely delighted when they see so many people have turned up You know, they're not there in their little home on their own. Barry, we're all here for you, mate. Yeah, just you. Yes.
Hello, I'm Gail Bodium and I'm a volunteer at Mercy and have been for many years. But I would just like to tell you we can do this. My daughter called in at 7 o'clock this morning. She lives at Scone. It happened to their nursing home. They did it. They turned it around and they have the most beautiful facility now. They reached out, another provider came in, and they have a wonderful facility. I'm not sure of any name, but I can find out. They had a steering committee, which was the local conveyancer and the local this, and they did it. So we can too.
Okay, well, we might. I never say no to joy. Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming along. Really appreciate it. Those that might be interested in this, make sure your email address is down there so you can be informed on everything that's going on, and questions in the question box. And thank you all for coming along.